Welcome, strangers, to Talkumentary, a show where we watch documentaries and then we get together and talk about them.
All right.
Now set general quarters. General quarters. All hands man your battle stations. Route for general quarters is up and forward on the starboard side, down and aft on the port side. Set material condition zebra throughout the ship. Make zebra reports to DC Central. Reason for general quarters, inbound hostile episode of Talkumentary off the port bow. Welcome aboard, shipmates, shippies.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
Thanks, Nick. We haven't introduced you yet. To the 27th episode of Talkumentary. This is your CO, your captain speaking. All hands heave out and trice up. Call the side boys and man the rails, because I have a couple very distinguished visitors joining us this evening. You just heard the lovely voice of one of them. They are two United States Navy veterans who served with me on board the USS George Washington. They became my brothers. They became my bandmates. They became my best friends. And the reason that I made it through my time on the ship, that's for sure. Dominic Teece and Nick Jozaites arriving. What's up, fellas?
How's it going?
That was Dom.
How are you?
And that was Nick.
Yes, Nick here. How are you?
Good.
Glad to be talking about this once again.
Yeah, here we are 10 years after we got out of the Navy, and we're talking about the Navy again because of my little show here. So we served together in the U.S. Navy from about 2007 to 2012, give or take, for each of us. We were in right about the same time. The majority of that time was spent on the USS George Washington. It's an aircraft carrier. We worked in aircraft armament equipment maintenance, blah, blah, fucking blah. So we brought you guys here. Attention on deck, ladies and gentlemen. Make way, shipmates, because we've skipped muster today and we're hiding up in a hot-ass K-pool to discuss a nice, short 41-minute documentary called Aircraft Carrier, Guardian of the Sea.
It is an engineering marvel, capable of patrolling the far reaches of the world's oceans for years without refueling. With a highly trained and ready crew of 5,092 aircraft aboard, providing unprecedented air power and intelligence, the Nimitz-class aircraft carrier is the dominant flagship of our time. But providing the peace and security of the world's vast oceans has become far more complex and dangerous, requiring the combined strength of the world's allied navies. 22 nations, 55 ships, and 200 aircraft will come together in unprecedented cooperation, the largest naval exercise ever attempted, working together to meet the new challenges of the modern era. Led by the mightiest warship in history, see how this global force will keep the sea lanes open, defend our shores, and bring our sailors home safely to their families.
One of the greatest engineering feats in history, the modern U.S. nuclear aircraft carrier, is a masterpiece of technology and the flagship of the fleet. With RIMPAC, the world's largest and most comprehensive international maritime training exercise providing a stunning visual context for the story, find yourself aboard the carrier alongside 5,000 highly skilled sea and air personnel. So this
debatable.
Debatable. Directed and written by Stephen Lowe, produced by Bob Kresser, Stephen Lowe, Don Kemp, Mark Kresenin, Pietro Serapiglia, Andy Wood, and Mark Kresser. This film was a K2 Films and Giant Screen Films production formatted for 2D, 3D, HD, 2K, 4K, full dome conversion, and 1570, which means this was a big IMAX masturbation movie with
the
these
whole shebang, huh?
Right. We streamed this on Tubi. Did you guys look into this at all? Like, did you do any like reading on this at all? It's okay if you didn't.
Not one bit.
Okay.
I did not read about it.
So what would you guess then that this registered on Rotten Tomatoes?
I probably like a 27 or something. I don't know.
Nick?
Let's see. 28.
Well, believe it or not, this movie did not even register on Rotten Tomatoes. There's a big dash mark on it. And the reviews are all over the board. There was a 10 out of 10 review from someone called Smeemergogen.
Okay.
So obviously a reliable source here.
Yeah. Let's hear this.
Quote,
10.
well-covered documentary that has led us to the modern aircraft carrier. Many interesting details on how life has been affected by war upon the sea. The sad cost in the sad cost in lives and the strive to protect them. So I guess. And then a 1 out of 10 review by D. Carroll 74 said, quote, disappointing documentary which had potential. This was put together by people who have no idea how to put a documentary together. Not worth the watch. So anyway, we will have a link with all that credit information in the show notes because, you know, if you are interested, which you're not, you're probably not. But let's get into it. Spoiler alert, I guess, if you want to go see this before we talk about it. I will say, you know, I usually talk about why we chose a documentary. So why did we choose Aircraft Carrier Guardian of the Seas this week?
You're bored.
Yeah, we were bored. This was chosen specifically because the three of us met, became close, and remained close because of our time in the U.S. Navy on board the nuclear aircraft carrier, the USS George Washington. I wanted to bring you guys to the show because, mostly because I like talking to you, but also because I thought it would be fun to find a documentary that would give us an excuse to kind of talk about some of our experiences at sea and kind of put it out there for people to enjoy or criticize, or, you know, if maybe one of our old friends who was on the boat, you know, listens to this, they can maybe reminisce along with us, and this will kind of put it out there into the ether of the internet kind of forever. So we had to stomach it, what I considered a pretty subpar documentary in order to do this. That's fine with me.
Agreed.
Had either of you guys heard of this? Dom, did you ever heard of this documentary? Farted?
No.
Did you hear that? I farted.
We did not hear it, but thanks for letting us know.
I pooted.
You can smell it.
I pooted.
I pooted. So never heard of it, never seen it. Nick, how about you?
No, not even an inkling.
When I sent you the link to this, Nick, what did you think? What was your predictions? Like, did you have any idea what this was going to be about? What were you thinking you were getting yourself into?
I had no idea what it was going to be about. I was kind of hoping it was going to be about like kind of just life on there because I wanted to just see what people are saying about that in a documentary.
Yep.
And kind of relate that a little bit. So like the engineering and the stuff and the history and that stuff was cool. But just in terms of did not know what I was getting myself into, but wish I would have saw a little more of that kind of just life part of things.
Agreed. Completely agreed. And I actually, that was sort of my prediction too, when, you know, aircraft carrier, Guardian of the Sea, you think, you know, you're going to see, and you did see a lot of the aircraft carrier, but they spent a lot of time on like the
flight deck.
Yeah, the flight deck and the what was it, the F-35 or whatever, that was mostly not even on an aircraft carrier, like the nuclear aircraft carrier was on whatever that Marine ship was.
weird CG. Yeah.
Yeah, and weird CG, which the weird CG was actually kind of cool to me in some ways because one part, so we can kind of get into some of the details, but they had these CG sort of spots where they'd sort of do a blown out diagram of parts of the ship. And I actually thought that was kind of neat because although listeners, we literally slept right underneath those catapults that they have on there. So these steam powered catapults that would launch the ships or the aircraft off of the ship. They're super loud. They like vibrate the entire ship. And the three of us slept right underneath them. So, but you kind of have an understanding about what those things are, but I've never seen it like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I thought that was kind of neat.
I want to jump in there and just say I don't want to discredit like the in terms of what the aircraft carrier is, not necessarily the in terms of a modern marvel of engineering, super carrier, so to speak.
Yeah.
Obviously, but that is something that is, I mean, very impressive. I so like just because the way that I think you're saying about this documentary is absolutely something that can take your breath away if you've never seen it before.
For sure. And truthfully, if I walked into, a museum that had an IMAX theater and that thing was playing, although, the guy doing the narration, it's a little corny. It felt a little bit like a recruitment video or something like that.
Yeah.
But
there's a little bias on it too, because they kept talking about the other nations and stuff, but
for sure. But I thought that, if I were to walk into an IMAX and see that thing happen, I'd probably be like, oh, that's kind of cool to sit there for 20 minutes and watch that. But, in the grand scheme of what I consider to be good documentaries for this show, some of it was a little bit cheesy.
Sure.
Like I said, there was some cool shit in it. I honestly think that if this had existed, and maybe I'll lean on Dom for this one. Dom, if you had seen this documentary before you joined the Navy, would that have pumped you up at all for joining the Navy? I mean, think back to when you were in your early 20s or your late teens when you decided to join. I was a little older, so you were probably, 19 when you joined?
Yeah, I was 19.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, regardless of, like, how good the actual documentary is, it was really patriotic or, like, propagandish, but not in a crazy, like, join the Navy and, like, kill and shoot things, just like in do this cool thing and do this. And it was like, it was like all of the cool shots, like that you would see in the dumb Godsmack Navy commercials that were back in the day.
Yes.
I forgot about the Godsmack video.
But it was basically those things, but 43 minutes of it. However many minutes.
So I saw that.
That was a good one. I like that.
Yeah. I thought it was actually like, it did give me a little bit of like, oh yeah, that I was on that thing. That was a cool thing.
Yep.
Even now,
Yeah. But, overall, like I said, I wasn't real impressed in, some of the documentaries that we've watched on for this show have been really good. A lot of money put into the production and all that. But this one hits me a little bit differently just because I've experienced the things. However, I think I may use this documentary sort of as a guide sheet for our conversation tonight, just to sort of maybe spark some memories and some experiences that we could maybe talk about if you guys are good with that.
Sure.
Nick, how old were you when you joined the Navy?
I was 18.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Dom, are you older than Nick?
I am.
What the fuck? You don't act like it. Why did you join the Navy?
Ah, that's a good question, man. That stems from a lot. It came down from to my mom passed away early on in my life, so
Mhm.
that kind of struggled through high school after that point. Didn't do very well in school, so my options after were kind of limited. So
Mhm.
the Navy, I was always just kind of brought up in a serve is a good thing kind of family. And
Mhm.
also the complete opposite on my Italian side, who hated every bit and like fought me tooth and nail
Yeah.
not to go. But I'm like, I gotta go do something. So
Got to do something.
yeah. So I was like, I want to do something, and this is something that I can do and still pay for my school and do things that I want to do.
Yeah.
And that was really the main thing, and just kind of went in from there. Um, and just took the roller coaster ride from there.
Yeah. Dom, how about you? Same question, man. What, why did you decide to sign your name on that stupid dotted line?
One was $7,000.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot
Seven.
about that.
I
I
got
forgot about that.
five.
Sucker.
I don't
And
remember
then
what I got, to be
Yeah, but you,
honest.
but you were recruited out of California, so 7,000 didn't go as far.
yeah, I mean, I got like 4,700 out of that.
Yeah, I
But
got
anyways,
2,500.
whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that went down the drain. And then
You bought T-shirts and shoes.
yep. But why I joined was my grandpa and my uncle were both in the Navy. I had no idea what the fuck to do after. Can you cuss?
Oh, I do it all the time. Yeah.
Um, I had no idea what to do after high school. I had no like big idea of what I wanted to be or do or anything like that. I just
Yep.
knew I didn't want to go to college right away. Like that was not in the books. That was
Yep.
just not something I was into at that time. And then come to find out I wasn't into ever.
Yeah.
But it was just a thing to do. And also when I went in, I was not gung-ho. I did ROTC for about
Yeah.
one semester, and I was like, this isn't for me. So I don't know why I continued and
Yeah.
joined the Navy.
Yeah, that's
after that.
interesting.
Yeah, I
But
didn't know that part.
Me neither.
yeah, I only wore my uniform in class, and I would change right outside class. So I was like, I fucking
That
hate
doesn't
this
surprise
thing.
me at all.
No, it doesn't. That carried through all.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna be in for 20 years. Like
Did
when
you?
going in, I was like, if my family can do it and all this stuff, I was like, yeah, I can do it. And then I got there and I was like, I can't do this shit. Fuck.
I don't
I
wanna do this.
definitely going in was thinking that, oh, I could do 20 years and retire this early. I definitely had that mentality going
No
into
way,
it.
man. So just to add to that, my reason for joining the Navy. So I joined a little bit older than you guys. I was 22, and so I had a couple years out of high school. I moved out of my parents' house. Well, they actually moved out of Omaha when I graduated high school, and I did some menial jobs, but I wanted to go to school, and I started looking at that. Went for a little bit. My parents didn't have a ton of money to send me to school like some people. They gave me a little bit, and I kind of squandered that on classes that I never needed or anything like that. It was either get student loans that I'm going to be paying off for something that I don't know what I want to do, or I can go join the service in some way. And I actually went and tried to join the Air Force first, but they didn't like my tattoos. And I went next door to the Navy guy and I pointed and I go, they didn't like my tattoos. And he's like, oh, I got this one in Japan and like whatever. And he showed me his tattoos. They were horrible, but I'm like, okay, I guess. But unlike you guys, when I joined with the intention to do 4 years and then be done. The $5,000 for the extra year, they conned me into that one. But the funny thing is, none of us said, I joined the Navy to serve my country, or I joined the Navy to, like Dom, you kind of mentioned that you're, your family did it, but more of a familial thing and not so much a, patriotic thing.
Yeah, I mean, both of them, neither of them retired, and one got kicked out for AWOL. So it wasn't.
At least you
Yeah, it
didn't do
wasn't
that.
like. Yeah.
So Nick,
I hope he doesn't watch this one.
in as few words as possible, describe
Uh-oh.
your Navy experience.
Let's say not hard, but bad, good, shitty. There's a lot.
I'm so glad you're struggling answering this because I as well. So that's my response too. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad it's over.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. If I had asked you, Dom, that question, but asked it in 2009 when we were on board, we were out to sea, how would you have answered that?
Fuck this.
Yeah. Fuck the Navy. Fuck everything. This sucks so much. But 10 years after the fact, the year after the Navy, I was like, oh my God, my life is so different. Everything's different. I'm ready. I'm so ready to get on with my life. We're now a decade out of the Navy, which is fucking crazy because I feel like we were just there, but I'm so glad I did it. And that's, you guys are a big part of that, but also setting me up for the things that I'm doing now. And, a lot of the things that I'm grateful for. What was, Nick, describe what and we'll get into the documentary a little bit too, but I'm more interested in people kind of knowing what the life of a sailor.
Yeah, this is what we wanted the documentary to kind
of
be anyway. So
agreed. So what was it like, or what went through your head the first time you looked out into open ocean and for 360 degrees around you there was nothing but horizon and water? Can you describe that feeling? Nick has some writing chops under his belt, so let's see how he does with descriptive words.
Oh, first
writing, not speaking.
Okay, yeah, true. That's true.
Different medium. Yeah, you want to type it out, and
it'll be good. Yeah. First thing, small. Number one. Like even on that giant super carrier, you look out there and it's just tiny, so you feel tiny and like. But then like amazed. I mean, like I love it. I still love just looking out on water like that. So like that was cool. That was, I remember like a lot of times you'd be stressed right there in K-Pool at the bottom of that thing, just sitting there and just looking out for a while. Cause I'm like, I'm not dealing with shit. I'm just going to look out on water for a while.
Some fresh air and all that.
Yeah. I know that stuck with me as a positive thing throughout the whole thing.
For sure. But I will say, and the first time I looked out and just went, holy shit, it's been a week. It's been, and then I should say, as time goes on and I go, it's been weeks and I haven't seen anything but water outside. Mm-hmm. And just the rolling of the ship, the swells in the ocean and all that. I mean, I remember the first time seeing that and just how blue and green the water was. And you almost get like this dizzy feeling, like it's overwhelming. Like you see pictures of the ocean, you see, whatever, but when you've been traveling for like weeks and you're still not anywhere near land, like, that's a feeling that not a lot of people get.
No, heck no.
And go ahead, Dom.
The only thing that I was thinking is if the alien from The Thing crashed on our boat, we'd all be fucked.
Yeah. Yep. It'd come in the shape of a dog or something, though. Yeah.
That is very true.
Speaking of kind of mind-numbing moments, Dom, do you remember the first time you walked onto the ship?
I do.
Okay, moving on. No.
Yeah, I mean, so the first time I walked onto the ship, though, we were still like, we were just docked. So, but I just remember being lost, like walking up, doing the whole ID check and saluting. I don't even remember what that's called, but I was in my whites when I got in or something, and then I just didn't know where to go, and there wasn't very much direction either.
Nope.
So it was just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
In a way,
It's crazy.
I don't know where I'm supposed to be.
yeah. And then I went to like the wrong birthing like 4 times, and I'm just like, well, which fucking one? I don't know.
Right. Yeah,
So,
you guys got to remember that I've never been here before.
They're looking
on.
at you like you're stupid.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, what do you mean? Like, oh, you're an AO? They're over there. No, there's like 17 different divisions of AO. So, yeah. Okay.
And like, is going through a door here going into a new birthing, or is that just this weird partition in a wall? And then, so like, how like sometimes
it's so
just
weird.
go through a door and it's the same birthing, and then other times you're in a completely different birthing. Like, it's weird.
Yep. I remember going, and when you kind of enter, when the ship is piered and you enter through a gate where there's a gate guard or like a roundabout or something like that. And you have to walk from basically did they back the ship in? No, they went straight in, right? So
I think so, yeah.
So you walk along the side of the ship and you keep walking and walking and walking. And I just remember being like, I've never seen anything this big in my life. Like, besides like static buildings, like this thing is huge. And and walking up those stairs, I remember my knees being weak, and I was with Dove and Briard. You guys remember Regis? Well, Regis, of course, but
yeah. I came in with Thomas.
Oh my God.
It was a bunch of fucking yeah. Two motherfuckers who like didn't know or
care.
It was bad.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, let's get into a little bit of the documentary. As we get into some of our talking points, I want to go back a little bit and revisit the synopsis, because like I said before, there's some things that sort of made me chuckle, and I want to talk about why that made me chuckle. It's let's see. The mission to protect and defend the world's oceans has become far more complex and challenging in recent years, and naval aviation has become increasingly vital to success. So one of the greatest engineering feats in U.S. history, the modern U.S. nuclear carrier, is a masterpiece of technology and the flagship of the fleet. So guys, do me a favor for a second and close your eyes and think about the ship. All right? Think about how it smelled. Think about
Don't do that.
Think about the beds. The feel of those fucking shit. Don't do that. Think about our shop 710, the way that dog felt when you opened the door, the sound it made, that clink sound, and how for the first 4 years we were there, it was hotter in that room than it was out in the hangar bay. Think about our test equipment, okay? Specifically, the Common Rack and Launcher test set, aka the Kralts. Think about our tools. Think about our showers. Think about our computers. Now, forget all that and open your eyes. Now, what comes to mind when I say masterpiece of modern technology? Do any of those things fall into that category?
Not one.
No. So that's what kind of made me laugh. So I know that, when they talk about modern technology, they talk about,
weapons,
warfare capability.
Yeah. And but it's just so funny to me to you watch Star Wars or Star Trek or any of this, you're playing, Dead Space or whatever it may be, and you're walking around or you're seeing the insides of like what they consider, sci-fi Navy vessels, right? And it is top of the line. You're doing finger scans when you're walking into into rooms. You've got, airlock doors that are opening up and welcome to your whatever. Like, our top ranking people on our ship still had to use the same shitty heads that we used. They still had to use, obviously it was better than what we had, but like they still had just a fucking door on their room as opposed to, what they have in those things. So it's just kind of funny to me to think about what we were on as being the pinnacle of technology.
Yeah.
Because even if you walked into, like, did you guys ever get to go in like any of the like radar rooms or anything like that, or see them or anything?
Mm-hmm.
So even those were like, it looked like an old, like early 90s like TV screen with a green light,
Yeah.
Like there was some rooms I think that were better than that. But even in the documentary that we were watching, when they were showing flight operations, they just had a piece of plexiglass on a table and little, paper
Miniatures.
airplanes.
Yeah. And if you notice, that was the only thing they didn't show the technology because all of the technology is from like the 1974.
Right. So I guess I'd be curious if we had gotten on that ship when it was christened and when it was, first commissioned, like would it have been different? Would it have been, quite a bit better?
The toilets would have been shinier.
Yeah, all the stuff maybe not so much sag in the pipes and stuff and whatever. Like let's go that what was that like shielding stuff that used to go around and used to leak all the time anyways.
Oh yeah, it was always dripping on people.
Steam pipes, yeah,
around all the steam pipes.
I seem to remember hitting my fucking head on them more often than not.
Yeah,
oh my neck. Pretty sure my neck still hurts from that shit.
Tom didn't even have to duck.
That's true. He like ran through
Just walked straight through it.
Okay,
he grabbed on with his arms, flipped around it.
All right, so with rim pack, so going back into that that opening synopsis, with RIMPAC, the world's largest and most comprehensive international maritime training exercise, providing a stunning visual context for the story, blah blah blah. Find yourself alongside the 5,000 highly skilled sea and air personnel conducting flight operations in the midst of the simulated war exercises taking place there. So, guys, do me a favor once again and try to imagine the types of people who we were around when we were on the ship. Is highly skilled sea and air personnel.
Jackasses.
Right.
All jackasses.
Seems like a bit of a stretch. Now,
very much so. That's why they showed all the officers.
Right. But even them, I mean, we met some of them and like, God, some of the dumbest people I have ever known were on that ship. And that's not to say that
our captain goes down in history as the biggest.
we have
while we were there, he was selling ship secrets while we were there.
We have two captains that were a little bit shamed. One being Dykhoff. Fuck you. Because of the fire. Yeah. And two being Bousman. Yeah, because of his selling, taking bribes from foreign ports and things like that. So a whole bunch of really cool shit. But
ship maintenance stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny. In the documentary, the ship that we were on, along with a bunch of the other ships from other countries, they were participating in RIMPAC, which means the Rim of the Pacific. That is the largest international maritime exercise where ships conduct realistic and relevant combined operations trainings.
Did we partake in that?
Okay.
That's what I thought.
So
Did we do that while we...
No. But I am going to take you guys back on a little journey, and we're going to tell our listeners this story, all right?
Okay.
Did you guys know that we were actually supposed to take part in a RIMPAC, but we never did? We did other training exercises. I mean, that's kind of what ships do. But as far as RIMPAC, we never actually did, and there's a very good reason, or actually a very bad reason. Yeah. So in April of 2008, our ship, the USS George Washington, along with our Carrier Strike Group, who at the time was Carrier Strike Group 8 and Carrier Air Wing 17, CVW 17, we left Norfolk, Virginia, en route to Yokosuka, Japan, to replace the USS Kitty Hawk as the forward deployed carrier and become the first nuclear-powered carrier to be forward deployed. Our ship was too big to make it through the Panama Canal, so we had to take a route around South America, which took us to our first port of call. Do you guys remember what our first port of call was on that? Chile, Valparaiso, Chile. Yep. And then we went to
Brazil.
Yep.
Yeah, Rio.
Yep. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Then let's see. On the trip around, our ship and air wing participated in the Gringo Gaucho maneuvers with Argentine National Aviation, and we participated in the U.S. Southern Command exercises called Partnership of the Americas and UNITAS, which was a joint military exercise between the U.S., Brazilian, and Argentine navies. Then we went through the Strait of Magellan in May to start along the Pacific coast and make our way toward Hawaii so we could make our turnover with the Kitty Hawk at Pearl Harbor, which was, we were all excited about. We were going to stop in San Diego for like a couple days and then switch out our strike group and air wing with Carrier Strike Group and Carrier Air Wing 5. But boys, we never made it to Hawaii, did we?
No.
We did not.
On the 22nd of May in 2008, while we were still off the coast of South America, we were at Exo's happy hour. Do you remember that, Nick?
Yes, because I was about to go to bed.
Yep. So, Nick, would you mind, actually, Dom, I think this is a good one for you. Would you mind explaining to our listeners what Exo's happy hour is?
Actually, you can ask Nick. I did not partake in anything extracurricular on the ship.
So let's ask Dom what his XO happy hour is, and then we could figure out what it was.
I went to go play PlayStation 3 in one of our shops.
So Exo's happy hour, aka cleaning stations, right? It's at least an hour of cleaning every day. That everyone has to do, and the officers walk around with their coffee in their hand and they make sure people are cleaning. And if they're not cleaning, they report it back to the XO, and the XO gets back on and says, I'm not happy with how everything's doing, so we have to get out there and do some more cleaning and get up in those rafters and make sure you're cleaning.
Another half hour.
So it's fucking stupid. But while we were at cleaning stations, we started hearing reports over the 1MC, which was the like PA system on the ship, about smoke being detected in the aft compartments of the ship. It wasn't really a strange thing for us to hear, fire and smoke calls over the 1MC. That was like, you're on a ship. So Dom just said he forgot what Exo's happy hour was. We're on this monstrosity of mechanical bullshit, basically. And, there's bound to be fire from time to time, which I don't think people think about that. But there's a whole division. Our friend Julian was part of it that was damage control, right? Which is literally your job is to make sure the ship doesn't sink.
They're firefighters.
They're firefighters, yeah. And also, general quarters, everybody kind of has a obligation to help fight a fire. But this one was lasting, quite a while. And I remember for some reason, I don't remember Dom being up there in K-Pool with us, but I remember Nick being there. And then our CO, Captain Dykoff, he comes over the 1MC, basically says, DC Central is having trouble getting control of the fire. We're going to go to general quarters. And Nick, I remember looking at you and being like, did he just say we're actually going to GQ? Like for real? And then we hear the gong gong.
Were you guys in K-Pool during cleaning stations or Exo's happy hour?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, see, I was in trouble, so I had to clean the berthing.
Oh.
Because I got caught not cleaning.
Yeah. That checks out.
Oh, gotcha.
That's why you weren't up there.
Good memory.
Yeah. So we heard the GQ, and we all have to go to our battle stations, which for us was standing on the forward side of the hangar bay and just waiting for something to do, whether we were dewatering or firefighting or what was your guys' thing? You were
what did we do?
You were like investigators or something.
We set
perimeters.
yoke. We set
yoke. Yeah, that's what we did.
That's
we
right.
set yoke, and then whatever quarter we had, our quarter that we had to make sure
all the doors were closed and shit. Yeah. So those who don't know,
vents,
every door, essentially. They call it a hatch on a ship, has a little letter on it. And depending on the material condition of the ship, you have to close them because that will set boundaries for smoke and fire and things like that. So that's what they were going out and doing. The fire, so according to statements made by Navy's PR office, this is all online now, which we can only take that with a grain of salt because you don't know for sure what's, true and what's not. But they say that the fire broke out in the air conditioning and refrigeration space in an auxiliary boiler room. It spread throughout the ship via a cableway and ventilation duct and caused extreme temperatures in some parts of the ship. The crew of our ship fought fires for nearly 13 hours in what was what is known as the largest non-combat fire aboard a naval ship since the devastating fire on board the USS Forrestal in 1967. So we're a little
fucking horrible.
We're a little part of history. So
I didn't know that little bit of that tidbit there.
Yeah. So they attribute it to somebody's unauthorized smoking. It says it online that's what they attribute that to, which I believe.
I know what it was.
You know who it was?
I know what it was.
Oh my God. I thought you said you knew who it was.
No.
So there's, before you get into that, there's a whole bunch of people got in really big trouble and fired. And that's part of the reason. So they had to redo all of our damage control, policies, and people got in big trouble because they're like, there was no way that should have been able to go on as long as it did and get as big as it did if everyone was doing what they were supposed to be doing.
Right.
Go ahead, Dom.
So, as per some friends in DC,
breaking news. Pew, 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 pew.
we were supposed to clean up our ship, and we've been working on cleaning our ship before we went to Japan. I don't remember if you guys remember that, but it was like a whole fucking
giant inspection thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So one of the rooms, one of those boiler rooms, they filled it with old paint.
Oh my God.
I heard it was just some kind of chemical thing.
Yeah, it was 5 gallons after 5, huge. The room was stacked with paint.
Dang.
And they all hid it in there for the inspection because they didn't want to clean it or whatever the fuck the reason.
Oh.
So, and I don't think it was because someone was smoking. I think it gets fucking hot on our ship.
Yeah.
And just
especially down in the boiler room.
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
So
that's wild.
It's because of negligence, not because of blaming someone.
Yeah.
Well, blaming a shit ton of people, kind of.
Yeah, that's a wild story. That's something, we get to, and when we were doing that, we crossed the equator for the first time. During that, we became the flaming shellbacks because
flaming shellbacks.
Yeah, we were given our shellback certificate without doing the shellback ceremony because we were fighting a fire for 13 hours. What did you guys, and we'll get away from this, but again, sea stories is what's fun about this. So I remember what I did. So for the first several hours of the fire, we were sitting there at our GQ locker, which is just where we all meet up. And
right outside the shop.
Yeah, right outside our shop on the forward side of the hangar bay. And then we were just sitting there waiting. And then they, hours into it, and if I remember right, Nick, you were night check, so you had been up for fucking ever.
Yeah.
And you might have been too, Dom. I don't know.
Yeah,
Dom was too. Yeah.
So
that was 2 days for us almost.
Yeah.
Extra.
That's crazy. And then they pulled our GQ lockers in to relieve the firefighting. Did you guys do any firefighting? So what I did after we moved forward is I filled probably 700 SCBA bottles. So the bottles that the firefighters would breathe. I sat there and I just filled the bottles. So some people would bring them up. They'd hand them to me. I would hook them up to this compressor. I'd fill them and then I'd send them back down. So I probably did 700 bottles. It felt like. Did you guys?
I remember that.
Did you guys do anything, or were you fucking off sleeping somewhere?
At first, we were helping hold the hose. We were like the back of the line holding the hose.
Crazy.
But I will speak for myself that once we got relieved, I went to the gun shop and
slept. Hell yeah. That's cool. Nick, how about you, man?
It was just very brief. Like I said, he was holding the hose, and then I don't remember what they pulled me off and I had to go grab a bunch of water because for the people that were like just coming out. Because I mean, if you remember, I mean, obviously going down into a ship.
Dude, that was fucking
fighting
nuts.
a fire. How insanely
and it was pitch
hot
black.
and insanely hot how that would be.
Yeah.
I mean, you could only be in the room for a minute. I mean, before they're pulling you out and substituting. So like I did it just that one time, and then I never had to do it again. Luckily, the reason was I got back with that water to give it to those people that were sitting there, and they're like, all right, you got to jump in the line now and start getting this stuff on or whatever. You got to jump in the line, wait in the line, because they're literally just a line of people just substituting.
That's so
I don't know.
crazy.
I don't know exactly what the time was. 1 minute, 2 minutes in there. Very short time frame. Because it was that hot. So
somebody on our ship, some senior chief or something, got like a medal of honor or something. Maybe not a medal, but a medal of some sort for going down and saving the guys that were stuck in one of the areas in there.
I remember that now.
Yeah, I remember
they had to like
something
cut
like
through the propeller shafts or something like that. Pretty wild. Anyway,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, dude.
Because there were people stuck in somewhere, weren't there, for a while?
Yeah, for like a long while, and nobody died though. Nobody even got. I mean, there was like, I think I just read there was like 37 injuries or something like that, but just minor shit, which is pretty crazy. And we all got a bunch of ice cream for it because we had to move everything out. Do you remember that?
When the fuck did we get ice cream?
So applicable. I love it.
Yeah, so we had to like move. We had to move ice cream out of the freezers because the freezers were damaged or something. So they had to take them to a different freezer, and it was all melting. So they were just giving everyone in line ice cream. Anyway, so Talkumentary. We're talking about a documentary. You know, we talked about it a little bit. Something I enjoyed was when the CGI graphics sort of disassembled parts of the ship. It gave us a look at some of the inner workings of the nuclear reactor. So I never got to see the nuclear reactor because we're not nukes. Our friend Nate Baggs, shout out to Grandpa Nate if you're listening, you know, and Miggy and Kyrie and all those people, they all got to go down there because that was their job and they made a lot more money than we did, and that was cool. But, you know, I never got to see that. So it was cool to see how it created the steam, which turns the props, and the steam catapult that launches the aircraft off the ships. You know, we got to see a lot of the arresting cables and arresting gear that caught the aircraft, but we never saw like the underside of it. And they sort of showed how that worked, which I thought was really cool. You know, those weren't things, you know, we lived on the ship for 5 years almost, you know, and those were things that happened all around us and we knew it happened, but it's not like there's just someone that takes you around and says, hey, these are the things on the ship and you should know how all this works. And we sure as shit weren't going to go get ESWAS qualified. So ESWAS is the qualification for like surface warfare shit.
Either.
Yeah. Nick and I got our air service qualifications. Dom got out with no rank and no qualifications. So congratulations, Dom.
I was E3 with 1 service stripe.
Yeah, which means 4 years in with good conduct though. So nicely done.
Good conduct. Yeah.
Nicely
done.
You
all those years in D or 3M, man.
Yeah. Dom, I feel like it's harder to get out of 5 years in the Navy with no rank than it is to make rank and make quals.
Yeah. Well, that was very much a chosen. That was
my
I decided
choice.
to do that.
Yeah,
definitely. We were all in a different mental state about that place.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, you know, and that kind of brings back some queasy memories for me because I remember like being there and them talking about how important it was you get your service, to make rank and to put your service, your qualifications and whatnot. And I'm like, well, but the fucked up thing is they start threatening you with things. Like I would have probably been Dom like you, because the tendency for a guy like me, and I think guys like you as well, which is why we get along, is to, when you tell me I have to do something, I really don't want to do it. And that's kind of the military. I get it. We're all there sort of following orders to a certain extent. I'm not going to be happy about it, but that's what we're doing. And, but on the other side, when you're forward deployed or you're on a ship's company, when you are away from home and away from all things, it's things like our blue card, which was the card that is given to you when you have open liberty. So you can leave the ship, you can stay overnight off the ship, when you have leave and all that. If you don't, yeah, it's life or death. That was worth more than its weight in gold by far, because. Which, by the way, I just found my blue card the other day. It's pretty interesting.
You would still have your blue card.
That's the only reason why he gets out of the house.
It's the only reason Nikki lets me go. I have to request permission to leave my house when saluting. It's fucking weird. But anyway, so with all that being said, they hold those things above your head and go, they're talking about taking your blue card if you don't get your training. Well, looking back on that, that's fucking bullshit. No, you're not. But when you're in that headspace, we were younger then, we were maybe a little more naive, and just the threat of taking that away. I remember Nick and I going, "Oh, hell no." And Dom was like, "If I have to stay on the ship, I'm staying on the ship. I don't give a fuck, because I'm not getting it." So props to you, Dom. You're a rebel at heart.
But I think also it's that you're not in trouble.
Right.
I think deep down, I can just see through bullshit. And that was total bullshit. I knew what I could get away with and what I couldn't. And I got away with a lot because I knew what I could.
Right. Well, and you get away with shit so confidently that it's like, I've always envied that about you, Dom. You're just like, yeah. It's like, fuck it. And people are like, "Oh, it's just cute little Dom. He can do whatever he wants." And
yeah, but now I got a mustache.
That's true. It shows up so much better on the camera than it does in real life. That's nice.
Oh, I also use Sharpie.
Oh, very nice. Good.
Gotcha.
So in the documentary, they talked quite a bit. They would go back into some Navy history,
which was cool.
I thought that was cool too, but it was kind of pointless to the documentary. So
I felt that too. Every time they swapped away from the carrier, I was like, "This is pointless." This is pointless.
Right.
Any of the ships, by the way, like regardless, like the old the history stuff, it was pointless. It was so cool seeing, and like
I love it.
Factoids they gave was really cool hearing. But also when they would show like the destroyer or like an LHA, I was like,
but that's not what we're watching.
It was called aircraft carrier, guardian of the sea.
Right.
Exactly.
No, you got an Avenger style poster. You better talk about the aircraft carrier like it's the damn super carrier.
Right. and I feel exactly how you guys felt. Why are we talking about ancient boats with bow and arrows, and don't get me wrong, I love the naval history, and even since getting out of the Navy, I've been more drawn to like nautical history and things like that, because I do have now I have some experience with it. But tell us about how badass the aircraft carrier is some more, or take us into the life of some of these sailors, because that's the part that I wanted to see. I wanted to see them walk around the berthings. Did you guys ever watch Carrier?
No, but I've heard that I should.
Okay, so there was something like that. I thought there was.
Yeah,
so
there was something.
I saw like episodes of it. Yeah.
I think it came out like toward the time when we were about to get out. I could be wrong, but so maybe 2012, 2013, 2011-ish. And I think they were on the Reagan, which was the same ship we were watching for most of this. You know, and I haven't seen much of it, but from what I understand is it actually gives a pretty good look into what life is really like, and not so much a recruitment video, which I think is awesome. So if we were doing docu-series on this show, I would have totally wanted to do that one.
Well, if you decide to,
I was going to say that becomes another program or something.
Bring you guys back, and then we'll get Regis. We'll bring him on.
Isn't he chief or some shit?
Did he make chief? Fucking Falone is a goddamn warrant officer now.
Warrant officer.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
He's the biggest shitbag in the Navy, and for some reason, I'd say it to his face.
Not for some reason, man. That's exactly what you'd expect, I feel like.
Yeah, true.
Hey, who else laughed? Here's a couple of things I just have to bring up.
Yep.
Just to see if anybody else laughed, because I'm almost certain you guys did.
Yeah.
They mentioned like the pinnacle of physical activity, and they
my god,
one guy running on the treadmill.
Yeah. Staying in shape physically is just as important as staying in shape mentally.
What?
Like,
dude, my first cast couldn't even fit through one of the holes.
Yeah.
Wasn't it a senior chief couldn't fit through the hole?
Literally one of the
AO1 couldn't.
Yeah. Our AO1.
Oh man.
Yeah, fucking Kemp couldn't fit through the and I'll say his name. I don't give a shit.
Is that porthole? Porthole?
Scuttle.
What were they called? Scuttle.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yep. So back to some of the naval history, I will say there was some World War II footage that really got me.
Oh my gosh.
So when they showed the ship sinking, I will always have a pit in my stomach when I think about how ominous and scary it would have been if our ship had sunk.
Yeah, when it was sinking and they were jumping off of the hole of the ship
to swim. Swim where?
Dude, I have nightmares to this day. Weird stuff, like never like really realistic about like the ship just being crazy. Like I mean, because you can fathom how big it is, and then like I'm on the ship and we're all there, and then all of a sudden like we're turning and then it just keeps going. So like now the flight decks like starts going under. I've had one like that. I've had one where like no idea the ship like cracked in half and we were like flying through the air, but it was like coming down. I don't know, it was crazy. But I have nightmares about the fucking ship sinking, which is weird. So
that's
not
crazy.
A lot, but every once in a while I get a weird one. And not a Navy ship. You
know, and when we were on that, you know, talking about it going under, as much as we hate to admit it, there was a time where we found comfort there. You know, when we were in Singapore, for example, and I got super sick and had to get rushed to the hospital in an ambulance, and all I wanted was to be back on the ship. You know, when we were in Chile and our Liberty boats couldn't get back to the ship because the waters were so rough and we had to sleep on the bus and all that, it was fucking awful. All I wanted was to be back on the ship. So there were comforts eventually. As much as we hated and wanted to be gone, it was like we knew where our spot was. We knew what our jobs were. We knew what?
I knew where my PlayStation was.
You knew where your PlayStation was. And, you know, there was comfort there. So to think about that going down and having to abandon that, and all of a sudden I'm out in the middle of the ocean, or I'm out, you know, like that is just so ominous. And seeing that footage where those guys, like you said, were like putting on those little life jackets and jumping to like swim, the fuck? Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to just stay in my rack. I'm going to go down and just fucking whatever.
I did find it interesting about the history too. I don't know if you caught this little nugget that I liked, that all throughout history, the greatest forces of naval forces all almost decimated their fleet in one battle, in terms of like almost shifting that country's route of progress or success, going the route, like I mean even all the way back to like the British and Napoleon thing and how that changed that. But I just thought it was interesting that entire fleets are knocked out in these battles of history.
And then
like even thinking those destroyer ones where they were sitting there across from each other and both sides of those just completely annihilated, you know. And you can't just rebuild a ship fast.
Right. And to think that like that's how you change the course of technology in like naval technology, like we probably got to build better ships because our whole fleet just got annihilated. So that's how you
Yeah.
go, oh, the way we do naval battles is going to change now
Mhm.
because somebody put, a metal hull on the side and a machine gun and a fucking submarine that changed
Yeah.
warfare, forever.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. One thing I didn't like about the documentary, and we talked about it just a little bit already, is, it showed a lot of the quote unquote cool stuff that some of the people on the ship got to do, whether they were talking about like the air boss and whatnot, they're launching ships and,
Yeah.
and then they talked about, the different colored jerseys that do pretty much, they focused on surface, very surface level
Yeah.
stuff. Besides the pilots who get to go up there and kick ass, which everyone gets to see anyway. You
Right.
saw the purple shirts putting fuel into the
Mhm.
airplane. They talked about AOs being ones to load ammunition and ordnance, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
but there's so much more there.
Yeah.
They did show us a FOD walk down though.
Yeah.
They did.
I forgot
Dom,
about
what's
it
a
until
FOD
I
walk
saw it.
down?
A FOD walk down is when you all line up on both the flight deck and in the hangar,
Mhm.
and you walk across it looking for nuts and screws and there's any type of debris that might be on the floor
Why?
because it could get sucked into an aircraft engine.
Yep.
It was dumb.
Yep. And
Like they-
it's one of those
I mean,
things where you
You
go,
need to do it.
I know we need to fucking do it. I get it. It's
Mhm.
important. But the amount of importance that they would like, nope, you're coming. You better
Oh,
get
yeah,
out there.
yeah.
Do the FOD walk down or you're going
I
to
mean,
get
that
it.
was
Like, guys,
ridiculous.
get the fuck, like,
I also, why
in the
don't,
middle of our work too. Like we
Why-
understand what I'm doing right now.
why not have like an air compressor that just like blows everything off? Why not like use a fucking broom? Why not use like a stick with a magnet? Why are we walking in a line?
there's got to be a better way to do that.
Like, come on. We have the most state of the art fucking thing, and we're all gonna walk in a line using our eyes.
And don't forget that FOD that plays in everything in the maintenance. So you break a tool and then it shuts down the whole
Yeah.
shop.
Yeah, that's a good
Shut
point.
Everything.
Well,
and
then they have to blame
you have to
someone.
look at all the work that you just accomplished to make sure that tiny piece isn't. If you don't find it, that's it's a pain in the
but
butt.
that's also kind of bullshit because you remember when we'd break a tool and there's like a little tiny splinter and QA's looking at it with a magnifying glass going, well,
Mhm.
it's not there. You got to find it. Like,
Yeah.
guys, when I'm sweeping the floor, I'm finding shavings of metal off of the side of whatever that's bigger than
Yeah,
that tool
that's
piece, and
bigger
you
than
don't
that.
care about it. Like,
Mhm.
so why is that so much more? And I get it. I mean, if any Joe Navy assholes listening to this episode right now, they're gonna
Yeah.
because if you get it's too much FOD and it comes up, then that's gonna be my life up there on the flight deck. Well, fuck you, because I'm not talking about. Yeah, if we were missing a giant bolt, yes,
Yeah.
we need to fucking find it. If we're even like the smaller screws and things, but I'm talking about shavings here that we're
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
up all
Go
night.
fuck yourself.
We're going up, waking night
Yeah.
check up to come back to the shop to look for this, and just because you decided that there's not a piece there, like,
Mhm.
guys, come on. Like, I
Yeah.
will say, when I got out of the Navy and started working with tools for the first time out of the Navy and like broke something, my heart would jump. I'm like,
dude, it
oh,
still
God.
does.
Yeah. I've broken so many like bolts and things on my motorcycle, and I'm like, fuck it, just throw it over. Like,
Yeah.
whatever, who cares? Like, it's not gonna hurt nobody. All right, so what are some of the things that you guys experienced on the ship that were, and we'll kind of go through sort of fast. I made a list here, and I'm wondering if it might be kind of fun. The things that weren't in the documentary that we might that might not get people to sign up as much as the doc maybe would. Let's talk about cranking.
Oh, God.
Nick, what's cranking?
Ranking everybody. I mean, not everybody. Some people get away with not going, but
Most people.
most people have to go to cranking on the ship, which is basically just your turn to work in the kitchen. That in term, whether that's cleaning dishes, whether that's wiping tables, whether that's getting the food. That could be in the chief's mess, that could be in the officer's mess, that could be just in the pot. general population.
Yeah. Gen Pop.
Yeah.
It also includes other what they would call temporary assigned duties like the pulpers and things like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I forgot about the other ones.
Well, you were in the pulper?
I was, yeah. I went cranking twice, actually. Once to the pulper for a few months, and then I went again to the Chief's mess for a few months. Dom, how many times? So, okay, before Dom answers that, so everyone pretty much, unless there's for some fucked up reason or something you get out of it, pretty much everyone has to go. It's kind of like doing your time. You know, everyone puts in a little bit of help down there, which is fine. I mean, it is what it is. But they also used it sometimes as a punishment. So if you got into trouble or were pissing off the people in your shop or something, and it was time for your division to send someone down to crank, your division officer would meet with your chiefs, and your chiefs would say, you know, this person's been a fuck up. Let's send them back to cranking. So with that being said, Dom, how many times did you go cranking?
So I've only went cranking once.
Oh.
But it was for 9 fucking months.
That's right.
And so I got sent, they're like, you know, this guy's a shitbag, or I don't know what they said, but they're just like, get this guy out of here.
Pretty sure they said that.
And then,
and
so
for
they were
reference,
like,
what's a typical cranking sentence?
Let's
say
it's like 3 months, isn't it, or something?
I think it's something like that.
Yeah, 2 or 3 months, I think.
Yeah, gotcha.
And but so they're like, yeah, this guy sucks, blah blah blah. Send him out. And they were like, okay, cool. Send him to the Chief's mess. And I'm like, oh, this shit's fucking cakewalk.
Yep.
I didn't do shit. I ate cookies all day.
Dude, Chief's mess
and you brought bad food too. Really, I mean,
yeah, I got good food.
Really good food. Really
and
good
then also just timeline. For the fire, I was cranking.
Oh, that's right.
So I would, you know, go hang out with my friends, you two. And so I would hang out in like the K pool and the gun room and stuff during like cleaning stations and like to get out of there.
GQ.
And then GQ and my GQ station was down there. And then when we caught fire and we were in San Diego for like 3 or 4 months,
it was about
I don't remember how long it was.
Yep.
About 4 months.
Yeah.
They send me. They're like, you suck at Chief's mess. We're gonna send you to the officers. And I was like, cool,
okay,
I'll go there. And that one was so laxed.
Oh man,
I'm sorry, but I was at home.
Yeah,
for like 2 of those months.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would just leave for like a whole week.
Yeah.
And then come back.
I remember that
nothing would happen
because San Diego was close to your home, so you got to be home. Yeah, it's kind of nice. San Diego was one of my favorite times when we were in the Navy, though. I was cranking during San Diego for a big part of that too. I was in the Chief's mess when we were at San Diego.
Oh yeah, because you took over my spot.
Yep.
And they were the shop. I don't remember. I think Johnson was still there. Johnson didn't like me at that point anymore. Because he was like, because of you, Kolaski's gone. And I was like, and I'm like, that sucks, but fuck you.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? You say that to somebody.
Okay, so that's cranking. Nick, did you go cranking?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
I was the first one cranking. I was just in Gen Pop. Yeah. I'm gonna keep saying that.
Yep. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, but yeah, right there. That was another thing in the documentary when they were showing the food, that nice meat they were cutting.
Get the fuck!
I'm like, that was very few people get to eat like that on the boat.
So when I was on the Chief's mess, we ate pretty good. I mean, those cooks were better, and but then the only time that I remember eating good, like literally good, which I would still eat it again, was Thanksgiving. The one Thanksgiving that we were out to sea, and all the Master Chiefs and whatever came down and made Thanksgiving dinner, and you could go back as much as you wanted. That was really good.
It was really good. Because that was like, I remember saying, why don't we have this all the time?
I know. If you can make this now. I remember the meat would come in boxes that says for inmates and U.S. military only. Okay, so another bad thing, the heads, the showers, the shitters.
Mhm.
Nick,
all the same thing, you mean?
yeah. Go, Dom. Dom, tell us about the heads.
Yeah. So just to know first, we slept in a berthing, and a berthing was a room that housed like 300 airmen in bunk beds, stink as fuck.
Yep.
All in a room.
Yep.
Three
and
high.
then we
Three
shared
high.
in, yeah, 3 high. And then those bathrooms, there's like, I don't know, like 2 in a berthing or something.
Mm-hmm.
There's 4 showers in each one, and 300 men shared 7 showers.
Yep.
6 showers.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
They were stainless steel, tight. I don't know what the fuck was on the walls.
Oh,
You
yes,
had
you
to wear
do.
Sandals.
Yes, you know
I
exactly
know.
what's
I'm
on the
not
wall.
gonna say it.
And every time the boat would rock, that disgusting,
Oh
slimy
my
shower curtain
Fucking God.
Oh, dude.
would touch your leg, and you'd have to scrub your leg for 5 minutes, and then we'd drop. If you dropped your towel, you just threw it away
Yeah.
because your towel was then ruined. And
Yeah.
You literally go in there and just try not to touch the walls as
Yep.
the boat is rocking and clean yourself and then get cleaned and then take your sandals off to clean your feet and balance on one foot.
Yep. and then run into your bed and get into bed because it's the only safe place in the whole
Yeah.
place. And
Yeah.
even then, you were going to have people knocking on. Hey,
Oh my
Klasky,
gosh.
Klasky, do you know where
Yeah.
the keys to the fuck? I don't
You know where
know.
the keys are?
Okay, what else? GQ, CBR GQ. Without going too far, we have a pretty long story about us getting in trouble during a CBR GQ. I'll kind of go through it real quick. So CBR is chemical, biological, and radiological or some shit like that. It's basically a general quarters, which is your battle stations, and you have to put just like always, you put flash gear on, which is gloves. You tuck your pant legs into your boots for some reason, and then you put on this hood, this flash hood thing. But you also have to put on for CBR GQs a gas mask. So they'll call gas. It's just to train you, and if you ever were to get attacked by that. But in normal fashion, so we were not always on a repair locker, which was an actual battle station. We would have to stay in our shop and be quote unquote ready to continue working on gear, which we worked on armament equipment, so that if we were running flight ops or whatever, there was still somebody to fix bomb racks and missile launchers and things like that. So when you're doing a drill, though, that means you sit there and you don't do anything. So what that meant for us, Dom, what temperature during flight ops do you think K-Pool was? K-Pool was one of our workspaces that was right underneath the steam catapult.
So we were out to sea in the middle of the ocean in near Asia.
Right.
So it's outside. It's probably like, I don't know, in the middle of the ocean, like 80 something degrees, 86 degrees, 100% humidity. And then in the K pool, I don't know, I would add like 25 degrees to that.
At least, dude. At least. Dude, it had to have been at least 100 to 110 degrees in there and complete
sometimes
humidity.
the fucking the steam pipes would burst. So it would just be steaming in there.
Yep.
For the whole time that we're working in there.
Yep. So needless to say, when we're in there, the door is locked. There's probably 7 of us in there. We're supposed to be all geared up. We're literally shirts off. We have no gas masks on. We're laying around on the gear, sleeping in the dark, and a fucking chief walks up there, and Nick goes flying into the angle irons and hiding, and everyone's getting up, and we got in some trouble for that one, but not in as much trouble as we probably could have. So grateful to Chief Kirby or whatever your fucking name was, because
if that could have been a different chief,
we would have been in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we talked about the heat. We talked about the filth. some that are going to be specifically to you guys and to any of our fellow Shop 710 people who may be listening. What about AO1 Malcolm watching porn and rubbing his eyebrows?
Wait, not this is, and just to also, just so everyone knows, he's not watching porn in
privately.
The secret of his privately. It's while we're working in his shop on his desk.
And he's supposed to be like watching what we're doing and making sure we're doing it right. He's sitting there rubbing his eyebrow,
12
watching
hours.
Jenna Jameson get railed by some horse. Like, dude.
Oh, that dude was.
How was that
else.
even fun? Yeah.
Wasn't that dude like 40, but he looked like he was 90 or something like
dude,
that?
Yeah, I think he was older than that.
Wasn't he way younger than he looked?
He smelled like warm Bud Light and mothballs.
His coffee cup, man.
His coffee cup that he wouldn't let you wash.
He refused to let you wash it. It's
trashiest motherfucker.
What about Dove telling Chief Palisak he was going to wire his shit up? Chief Palisak
was weird, motherfucker.
Yeah, he threatened to take away the blue card, and Dove said, "You have to take that shit from me. I'll wire your shit up."
Again, that life or death thing that we talked about there.
Yeah,
it gets people riled up.
Yeah, that's a good way to piss someone off. You know how I became a fan, quote unquote, for a time of the St. Louis Cardinals, because as long as they were winning, Chief Harris was happy and he would keep the TV on. Yeah. I still root for them because of that. I'm like, oh, all right, Cardinals, cool.
Nice.
I don't care about them, but or AO1 Kemp blaming us for him not making Chief. You remember that?
Oh my god.
Oh, fuck that.
Fuck him.
I do remember that.
Fat piece of shit.
I couldn't believe it because I yelled at him. I'm like, are you seriously going to blame us for you?
Right. What does that have to do with us? Get off your ass and do something.
Yeah.
Drinking Diet Cokes like that's going to help you.
He would drink a 12-pack a day.
I know.
Oh, my God.
Hopefully I'm not incriminating us here, but when we'd string people up by their feet in K-Pool.
I wanted to say this, but I don't know if I should. But I used to hang in the rafters, and then when Dove would walk into the cable, I would jump on his back and then string. Well, I would like choke him out until he passed out.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
You're like a little spider monkey.
What
just
about
waiting to ambush whoever comes through the door?
Oh yeah,
we talked about this even a little bit ago when you did that when I walked into the damn shop.
Yeah,
remember that pole right there?
Oh.
Yeah. We just talked about this when we were at your wedding,
yeah.
Jeff. We slammed, or he walking straight fresh from waking up, walking in the morning, about still not even awake whatsoever. Here Dom is sitting up on the table. I walk over there by him. I turn around for whatever reason, and then bam, Dom's on me like that, choking me out for real. Like got a good choke on me. I'm like, okay, he's keeping going. I'm like, is he gonna let go here? And I'm like, I start to pull a little, and I'm not getting it loose. I'm not getting loose like I want to. I'm like, okay, it's getting a little woozy. I got to do something. So that pole was right there. So I picked him up off the table, and then I just started slamming him into the back of the pole there.
And the whole time his little ass is laughing.
Let him go or whatever. But one time I think you said I got your head real good on accident, right?
Oh yeah,
not on accident. After that. Yeah, that was the.
When he hit me, when my head hit it, that's when I started seeing stars. I was like, oh shit, yeah.
I don't really feel that bad for you though. I'm gonna be honest, like.
No, you shouldn't.
No, we both almost blacked out right there. So we both could have fallen.
We're about to knock each other out.
Okay, so
same time.
Would that not have been something we would have done right there? All of a sudden,
seriously,
knock each other out.
So here's one more. Dom, do you remember Sokchet Ben?
Yes.
So tell me the story. Tell me the story of when you told him you smelled like Up Dog.
I knew it was coming.
So there's a joke, and he said, "You smell like Up Dog," and then he say, "What's up, dog?" Ben goes, No, dude, I smell like bologna.
I'll smell like up dog. I smell like bologna. Like, yeah, you actually do. But you know what?
Dude.
Like, what the fuck? Oh, that's
Dude, we
weird.
never wanted to tell you that, but thanks for just blurting it out there. We're just trying to joke with you.
And then I have that story from when
Yeah,
I
hit me
decided
with
to
some
put
more.
I put Kool-Aid in my Camelback.
I will spit water all over my computer. You put water in your Camelback, and then you went up to take a
Kool-Aid.
piss. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
You put red Kool-Aid in your Camelback, and decided that when you went to take a piss, that you were going to try to drink at the same time you were peeing, because you were thinking apparently it was just going to go in your mouth and out your wee-wee. But then you got confused because you were drinking and peeing, so you spit red Kool-Aid all over the toilet and in the stall, and then left it there.
Oh.
My favorite part of that story is the fact that you got confused.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to breathe.
I forgot to.
I forgot how to do this.
Did you forget which one to use to breathe or something?
I was trying to suck in through my wee-wee. Oh, that's
funny.
Okay.
Oh, there are some good stories.
Yep. So I think this might be a good time for us to give some shout outs to some of the people we served with, since this could potentially go far and wide. Let's just I've got a list here, and I know I didn't warn you guys about this, but
Yeah.
I'll-
Say your list and I'll add it if there's not on there for sure. I know there's a lot of people that I'd like to mention.
Yeah,
so
let's just
ahead
go
on that.
around and I'll go down the list, and when you guys get to the point where you're going, oh shit, off the top of my head here. So first and foremost, Mr. Regis Dove. What's up, Dove?
What up, Dove?
Yep.
Definitely.
Dove.
Big love, man.
Dom, what you got?
Car. I miss Car.
Justin Carr, my boy.
Yeah. Chief Harris.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but just for the sake of time, I'll just read down the list, and
Yeah.
if you guys realize that I forgot something, you tell me.
Yeah.
So Ashley Warlick, what's up, girl?
Yes.
Yeah.
Lyle Steven, TJ
Yes.
Huntsman,
Yes,
Yep.
TJ.
Howard the Duck Bryan, Colin Doc Colfescu,
Colin,
Matthew
good
the
dude.
Bitch Dibble. Sorry, fuck you, Matt. But AO1 Man, Donovan Johnson, miss you, Deej. You guys remember AO1 Oxendine?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that guy was the weirdest.
What about Yo-Yo, Richard Arroyo?
Yo.
Oh yeah.
Yo.
That guy was cool.
Of course, Nate
yeah.
Bags, Grandpa Nate, you're the man.
Definitely.
Kervin Morales.
Kervin Morales, yes, sir.
Nice. Very good.
Miggy Kulikowski, of course, Chief Somsak Palisak. Thomas, do you remember Thomas's first name?
Michael.
Michael.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Nick and I were actually talking about that, and I couldn't remember his first name. Michael Thomas. Okay. Andrew Workman. I haven't heard that name in a long time. Julian the Jew Delgado. Steve Nevert. Vert a bitch. Kenny PDK Wilson.
Oh, PDK, man.
PDK. You mentioned Chief Harris, but that would be Master Chief retired Harris. So
Well,
Yeah, damn.
thank you for correcting me.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was a good dude. He was a bit much at first, but I ended up really liking and respecting Chief Harris.
Same.
Marcus Perkins is the man. Shugan Dugan,
Dukin.
Pat Schaefer.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Dom. Amanda Namachi. Casey
Yeah, no
Harris.
Oh yeah.
Trevor
Harris.
Cletus Lawson. Justin
Cletus.
Fiskey.
Yes.
Tommy Farrell. Justin Falone. Fuff. Chief Warrant Officer. Andrew Vasicek. Kent Elliott, who loves Guar and all things Guar. He had the dude from Guar tattooed on him. I don't know if you remember that. We mentioned.
Why do I remember that Guar, but I don't remember this person? I remember
You'd probably
that
remember him
story.
if you saw him. He
Was
was
he
there
like
early on.
screamo-ish
No,
person?
bald dude. You'd remember if you saw him. Anyway, Kyrie Bauer, Becky Davis. I don't know if you guys knew her. AO1 Kemp Malcolm and AO2 Perry. Perry. I loved Perry because Perry meant well. He was kind of but
he wasn't the smartest peanut in the turd.
He wasn't the smartest peanut in the Reese's peanut butter cup, but he would win our love by buying a shitload of peanut butter cups and then try to go to bat for us.
He ended up looking out for us all at the end, though, because Kemp was being a dick and everybody was being a dick against all the younger people, and so like he was the only. So
speaking of younger people, the McNuggets.
McNuggets.
That was that.
I remember him.
What was his name? McHale and McMillan. Then Brandon Allspaw.
Yeah.
Ben, of course. AT1 Jones took us snowboarding. Chief Jones. Do you guys remember Eubanks? He was like an AT or some shit like that.
Yeah, I do.
I like AT1 Jones or Chief Jones because I can talk as much shit to him.
Yep.
And he would just take it.
It just kind of popped into my head, though. I don't know if I'm thinking this right, so just let me say, Eubanks, he kind of looks like that senator that was... that super young senator that's like the guy who like put his fist out to those people or whatever. What's his name?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you know? You don't know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, continue.
Our AWOL buddies, Daniel Briard and Kyle Blanky. So long, suckers.
Yeah, don't steal my shit, man.
What'd you say?
I said, don't steal my shit, Blanky.
Don't steal my shit, Blanky. And then I've got a couple boot camp buddies, Joel Vrobel and Jeremy Joe. Some good dudes. I know you guys don't know them, but anyone else you guys can think of? I guess I didn't mention Polk, but he still owes me money, so fuck him. I don't care about Polk.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Anyone else?
No.
I want to give.
No, there's a couple I can think of. Was there a dude who was pretty cool in the shop right next to us? I can't remember.
Roger February.
February. Oh shit! Yes. I forgot about February.
Thanks,
man.
That
dude ruled.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I wonder what he's
Appreciate
at now.
that. I couldn't remember. Damn. Again, nice again with the memory, Dom.
Yeah. What the hell? Also, I think this would be a good time to give a shout out to the Colombian hardcore god and co-owner of Gourlami Pizza, Stevens Gomez, keeping the fifth year alive with his Colombian hardcore. And of course, Seina Matsutani, our first Japanese friend, Yuki Kobayashi, and our friend Tracy, the Kiwi that we met over there as well. Hope you guys are doing well. If you're listening to this, we love you. Thanks for being a part of our story. If you guys don't have anyone else, let's get into the next part of the show, which is kind of the takeaway, or at least, how did you feel after watching this documentary? I know we didn't talk about it a whole lot because we were kind of doing C stories, but I was kind of hoping for that anyway. How do you feel the credits roll and what's going through your head, Nick?
I was like, I don't really understand what I just watched. I mean, maybe if they would have just said Guardians of the Sea, not aircraft carrier Guardians of the Sea. I just felt like it bounced around a lot of different subjects and I didn't understand. And again, but there are some cool tidbits. Like I said, I like the explosive of the how it makes it look, some of those things. But I mean, not good. Not good in terms of overall really anything. History was cool, but it's just trying to be too much of what I don't know, I guess.
It's like it didn't know what it wanted to be.
Yeah.
Dom, how about you? How'd you feel after the credits roll, or while the credits are rolling? Were you asleep?
I mean, it was only 43 minutes.
True.
But it just reminded me of like a History Channel, documentary that comes at 3 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was a little propaganda-y, but like I wouldn't expect anything different from it.
Right.
And then it was pointless.
Yeah, it really was.
The end.
It really was. It didn't give a lot of much of anything. For me though, I couldn't help but feel a little nostalgic. We joined, it's been over 15 years ago now, which is insane.
It made me feel cool a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can say that you were a part of that.
Yeah. Not like I'm not cool, but like it was cool, being a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I often think of my decision to join the Navy as being the start of my adult life. There was my life before, there's my life during, and then there's my life after the Navy. That's just how time works for me. When I think about something that happened in 2013, I think of, well, that was right after I got out of the Navy, or that was this many years after I got out of the Navy, however, or, well, I was in the Navy at that time. So that's just how my timeline is. And I think it probably will be for a good long time. I consider it to be one of the best things I've ever done, and simultaneously one of the worst things I've ever done. Just like Nick said earlier, I still will have dreams where I'm on the ship, and I a lot of times consider that to be sort of nightmarish. But also some of my best memories were made with you guys, on and off the ships. The stories we told tonight were only a fraction of the stories we have. If we could take a whole, documentary series or podcast series on, what did we do when we were in Korea? What did we do in Japan? How many, we started a fucking band there. We played shows. We recorded an album. We went and saw, how many different countries? What we talked about tonight is only a fraction of those stories. And those are things that I'm never going to forget. So am I glad we did it? Yep. Do I regret it? Not for 1 second in my life. Not anymore. Now, if you had asked me when we were sitting on the ship doing, XO's happy hour, I would have said, fuck, I regret this. If you had asked me when I was sitting in my rack in boot camp, when I was in month 2 of a 5-year journey, and it felt like I'd been there for years, I'd be going, yep, if I could back out of this now without, what I would consider to be, repercussions, I would have done it. But
no, I tell everyone the same thing in terms of like they say, well, how did you like it or whatever? And I say that's not just an easy answer. But I always mention you guys as being the best thing to have come out of that. The relationship we had, the brothership we formed, just, you guys are my brothers. I can talk to you about anything. So like that is not found anywhere else. So those 5 years were worth just that. So because you can't go through something like that and not have someone that has your back or something.
Yeah, so. It would have been damn near impossible. So I'm very grateful for you guys. So we're kind of running toward the end of our time, and I could talk to you guys, forever, which we will, I'm sure. But we need to get to a rating, an official quote unquote documentary rating. Each crew member scores the documentary on a scale of 1 to 10 items, with 1 being as bad as being touched by a slimy Navy shower curtain, and 10 being as great as being handed your blue card for the first time. The item that is used for scoring changes each week depending on the content of the documentary that we watched, and this week we'll be using Bravo Zulus as our rating item. Bravo Zulu means well done in Navy terminology. Let's start with Dom. Dom, how many Bravo Zulus do you give aircraft carriers, Guardians of the Sea?
Just because of the documentary itself and it being very lacking and pointless, 2.
2 Bravo Zulus. That's not very many, man.
No.
Nick, how about you, sir? Josie.
It had some good information about engineering things that even I didn't know living on that stuff that were cool to see in a different light. So even though I agree with Dom that it had no cohesive thread, in my opinion, liked some of the history stuff, but again, I didn't know what I was watching when I was watching that over another portion of it as the F-435s flying over.
Yep.
So just because that I like the information that presented there, even though it wasn't the most organized. 3 Bravo Zulus.
3 Bravo Zulus. Okay. For similar reasons, I gave 2. This is not a great documentary. If I was rating our episodes on how much fun I have talking to people, this would have scaled a lot higher because I like hanging out with you guys and talking to you guys. And I'm thinking maybe we need to start our own podcast or something because this would be fun. But I need to upgrade my Zoom because this 40-minute thing's for the fucking birds.
Well, if we do that, we can figure something out.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, with my 2 Bravo Zulus, Dom's 2 and Nick's 3, that makes our average score come to 2.33333 repeating Bravo Zulu. So 2.33 for this somewhat okay documentary. Did you guys notice, and I forgot to mention this, did you notice throughout, so we were on CVN 73, that was our ship. Did you notice that there was a 73 that our ship was on that documentary a few times?
No.
Yeah.
I was looking for it too, I thought, and I didn't see it.
If you go back and watch, there's like a couple somewhere right in the middle. It's right before they start talking about the F-35s. There's actually, you can see the whole number 73. So that's kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah.
I wish that everything wasn't on the Reagan. I mean, it'd be fun to see our ship just for the sake of the nostalgia.
That must be the Hollywood approved ship or something.
Yeah, the Reagan.
With the Reagan.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck him. I don't
know. For real.
All right. So I want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in this week. Thank you, Josie and Dom, for joining me on this memory sharing session. This was really fun for me. I always enjoy you guys. I want you two to know that if I ever had to get back on that ship and serve, my one request would be that the 2 of you came with me. I'd probably invite.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I know it'd be fucking awful. But if I'm going down, you're going down too, and we're bringing Regis with us too. So
it was fun
real
to
quick,
be here, and it was fun to have the conversation too.
Yeah, good. Thanks, man. Let's talk a little bit about next week's episode. For next week, we will be putting out our thumbs, getting into a stranger's car, and hoping we walk away from it alive, because we will be covering a riveting true crime documentary from 2023 called The Hatchet-Wielding Hitchhiker. This crazy documentary follows the story of a carefree nomad's rise to viral stardom and the steep and deadly downward spiral that results in his imprisonment. Have either of you seen or heard of The Hatchet-Wielding Hitchhiker?
I've heard of it.
Have you watched
Netflix,
it?
Right?
Yeah, Netflix, yep.
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Nick,
I think I've scanned over it.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard anything more.
any predictions on this one? You know anything about Kai, the hatchet-wielding hitchhiker? I've actually watched this one already.
Oh, you have? I bet. I think it will be better than what we just watched.
It is. It's much better. Yeah.
Nice. That sounds cool. I might have to check it out.
Yeah.
My guess is there'll probably be a hitchhiker and a hatchet.
That's all we got time for, everyone. Yeah, so go check out the documentary, The Hatchet-Wielding Hitchhiker, before next week's episode. It can be streamed on Netflix. Join us as we smash one documentary at a time. Please go out, rate, and review our podcast on your favorite podcast streaming services. Let us know what you think of our show. If you want to connect with the Talkumentary crew, look for @Talkumentary Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, or you can shoot us an email at info.talkumentary@gmail.com. Boyos, once again, thank you for joining me. Dom, you have anything you want to plug to any of the 10 Talkumentary listeners out there?
Yeah. If you want some coffee, I also roast coffee for myself. I started a coffee roasting company called Fifth Year Coffee Roasters.
Right on. Out of where? I never said where you guys live, so if you want to plug that.
I'm in Long Beach, California.
Cool. And can they find that Fifth Year Coffee Roasters online or?
Yes, find it on Instagram. And right now you can just DM me, but I'll be having a website up pretty soon.
Very good. You still owe me a bag of coffee too, so.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Get right on
And
that.
me a shirt.
Yeah, what the fuck, Tom?
I gotta go.
You just put your hand over the camera. That didn't actually turn. Yeah. How about you, Nick? What's going on in your life, man? Everything good? Everything? Anything you want to talk about? I know that that you were at one point. You know, you and I have talked about the fact, you know, that since this is a Navy documentary, or that, you know, some of the shitty things that we didn't see in this video is some of the help that veterans can get out there, whether that be, you know, physical health or mental health and things like that. I know that you've gone on a journey with all of that, and I'm not going to put any of your stuff out there, but open floor if you got anything you want to talk about there.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously they don't make it easy. It's a battle every time. Even things that I've had physical therapy for in the Navy, which talking to a doctor now, they tell me that they think that's crazy that I've even been denied for access to help for that from the VA. But it's a battle. I just did this huge thing where, I mean, you guys obviously know, help me out by saying your stories to say some stuff that's going on with that I was claiming, you know, and then it all got denied again anyways. So now I got to go through the whole appeal process. But I'm talking to like a VA person, and they're like, "Oh, they always deny it." And I'm like, "What?
Well, they
you have
fucking
to
shouldn't.
appeal every time." And I just think, I mean, it's like, it's typical. I mean, like, this is just dealing with. This is
federal
us
government
dealing with this is us dealing with the Navy again. It's just crappy, and everything's unorganized, and they don't really care about what's really going on.
They really don't.
And we have to fight for our lives to really make them squeeze an inch on some things. But hey,
Yeah. Yep. And, you know, one thing I'll add to that is similar to when I was in the Navy and I left, you know, Nebraska. All of a sudden, when I get to the Navy and I'm not in Nebraska anymore, I'm proud of being a Nebraskan, and, you know, I'm touting it, and I, you know, that sort of thing. Similarly, when I got out of the Navy, all of a sudden I'm proud to be a veteran, you know. And when we were in, the last thing I wanted people to know was that I was in the military. I didn't want, you know, we wanted to blend into people outside of the military. Which is why, you know, now we grow our beards and our hair and all that, you know, whatever, but people see it right through us anyway.
Yeah.
I guess where I was going with that is it's not just the soldiers and Marines that have served in combat. It's not just, it's every veteran gave up something to serve their country, whether it was like us, to where we didn't serve out of a sense of patriotism. We served, you know, to get something out of it, but we did it. Doesn't matter. We did it with you know, respect and with dignity, and we got out and did our time, and, you know, no one can take that from us. But it does feel good to be thanked for that sometimes. So whether it's you know, if you see somebody, you know, shake their hand or something like that, or buy them a coffee from Fifth Year Coffee Roasters. And so if you guys want to purchase some Fifth Year coffee and send it to me, I will give you a P.O. box. Just email me, info.talkumentary@gmail.com. So thanks again, guys. You guys are the best.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So on behalf of Nick Jozaites, a.k.a. Josie, Dominic Teece, a.k.a. Drama, DJ, who's in the post-production booth, and the entire Talkumentary family, I am your host, Jeff Kalaski, and I want to thank you all for listening. I hope you keep your minds open and be kind to each other. And here's our Secure from GQ sound. Now secure from Talkumentary. I say again, now secure from Talkumentary. Bye, everyone. Guys, say bye.
Bye.
Bye.